Hello everyone. Today I want to talk to you about how to fully prepare for an interview and to answer the most difficult questions. What really is preparation all about? Preparation actually helps us to calm our nerves, exude confidence, and polish our interview techniques. And whether you're a seasoned professional or a newbie, whether you have always sat on one side of the interview desk or the other, preparation is key. I would never suggest that anyone gets up and go to an interview totally unprepared and trying to wing it. You could actually be cheating yourself out of an opportunity of a lifetime. I want to share with you today a dozen tips on how to fully prepare for that next interview and to ensure that you're totally ready for that big day and be successful at getting the next dream job. First, you want to find out what the formal interview will be like and who will be there. This is a very reasonable question to ask the hiring manager. It can be quite off-putting to walk into an interview room, whether virtually or physically, and see 10 persons sitting at the table when you expected one. It makes a world of difference to know what the interview room will look like. And next, you want to review possible interview questions. It would seem mundane to say this, but several people show up at interviews being totally unprepared for the most basic interview questions. You must not only review the questions and think about the answers, but you should write out your answers and, better yet, prepare yourself with a trusted friend or a coach. The next thing you want to do is to focus on answering questions that you are uncomfortable with. Whether these questions about family situations, salary, um, other off-limit topics like your personal work history and so on, why you left your last job, if there was a firing, what caused it. Those things can be a little worrying and gaps in your employment history. But being prepared is the way to go. No, those are the uncomfortable questions, but then you have the difficult questions. Now, the difficult questions tend to relate to handling, what's your greatest experience? When did you add the most value to your organization? It may ask you to detail an embarrassing situation or how you dealt with a difficult matter with a co-worker or a superior, and it calls for you to call on a specific set of memories. My suggestion here is do not start speaking as soon as a question is asked without thinking out your answer. It will be clear that you're making it up as you go along. Right? You must think about it. Next, don't get thrown off when you get some weird questions. Non-traditional companies ask weird questions. So if you're asked how many kangaroos are in Australia or how many windows are in New Kingston, don't be thrown off by it. Your interviewer is not trying to get a right answer. They want to know how you will operate under stress and uncertainty. Another thing that is key here is that persons come to my interviews and they're unprepared. Unprepared in the sense that they do not know much about the company and the executives. Now, don't be caught off guard. When you're asked about the company and its operations, products, and services, you should be prepared. You should have clear answers as to how you would tackle problems that the company is facing currently, because all that information is available in the public domain, especially if the company is publicly traded. Now, identify what it is that the organization needs. You're going, especially as a senior executive, to add value. Then you should do detailed research and carefully study what is required to function optimally in the position. Review that job description carefully and make sure that you get it by requesting it if you don't have it. Now, some companies may ask you to complete a psychometric assessment or some type of personal assessment, and this is usually online. I want you to take this seriously. Sometimes we just rush through it and we just do it as soon as the email arrives in our inbox, but I don't suggest that you do that. Get rested. If they tell you the type of assessment it will be, go and do some practice. Get similar questions. If it's math problems, work them out. Get your mind accustomed to doing these types of assessments, because you're going to be timed and you don't want to stymie your chances of advancing because you did not prepare properly for that personal assessment test. And another thing you should do, especially in the age of social media, is to monitor your social media pages. Your social media pages, Google your name and check what information is there. If there's any negative posting that is there that you definitely can't remove at this point, be prepared to address them if you're asked about them. Remember that interviewers are looking at your social media pages. They want to get to know you in a 360-degree way, not just professionally. And I suggest that whether or not it is a face-to-face interview or a virtual interview, you take the same care and attention to your wardrobe and grooming. It can be quite off-putting to see persons showing up in a virtual interview room, not dressing the part and not looking the part. It's definitely not a good look. And the final thing that I would leave with you is that you do not want to be caught flat-footed when you're asked by the interviewer, do you have any questions for me? You should carefully have some insightful questions, some value-added questions to ask at this point. And I suggest you prepare at least 5. Why? You may not ask all 5, but if answers were given earlier in the interview to the questions that you had prepared, then you could find yourself in a spot of bother. So if you provide at least 5, then at least you may have 2 left to ask. So I ask you again, prepare for your interviews. Nothing beats preparation, and ace that next interview. Good luck on your job search.